Hey, let's talk about Deion Sanders, man. One of my favorite players, man. As a kid, man, I wanted to be like Deion. Did his high step all the time out there playing football, get an interception, especially if you take one to the house. Man, I wanted to be like Deion Sanders, one of my favorite players of all time. Well, of course, a few years ago he had got accepted for the job at Jackson State, which is an HBCU. Turned their program around. They weren't doing much winning before he got there. He went 27-5 in the time he was there. Just went undefeated and won the SWAC championship. So he, brought a lot of prominence to the school, brought a lot of eyes to the school and whatnot. But recently he accepted a job at Colorado, which is a Pac-12 school, one of the bigger name guys. And people there's been a lot of a split. There's been a conversation that's been going on online about him leaving. Some people are calling him a traitor. Some people are saying, that's what everybody's supposed to do. Go get the bigger bag. Go follow the money. He was only getting, I think over a course of 4 years, his contract. Hell, he was only getting almost $3,000 a year. I'm sorry, $300,000 a year. That's it. Whereas they'll be offering $5 million at Colorado. It's a huge difference. So, it's a lot of money, a good amount of money, great opportunity. But the conversation is, did Deion renege on his word? Well, you'd have to take his words for him, for what he said when he was hired at Jackson State. The conversation, and this has been a conversation about bringing, building up the HBCUs and all of that. Now, I don't care about all of that. Those are HBCUs. Those are still indoctrination camps. Most of them, they're still named after, white guys, Morehouse and Howard and all of those places. But yeah, they have black history, there's black history behind those places. So, you want to keep that, you want to keep that thing going. You want to be able to build those up, especially when you have a lot of, kids, especially the NFL, the NBA, all of those places are, predominantly black places. You want to, bring spotlight to HBCUs, which host a lot of people who look like those players. Hell, I don't care what college you go to. I'd rather we find ways to figure out what we need to do, figure out what we want to do, and be the creators, be the producers of things before we even get to that point. Have access to the books. Colleges, I want people to understand and put into their mind that college itself is an alternative. It's an alternative. You pay for the alternative because you don't have the knowledge, you don't have the access to the books, or you don't have the some type of path cut out for yourself. So you go and get the degree so somebody can accept what you do. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with that, but it is what it is. And, HBCUs are no different. Utilize it like that. But let's get back to Deion Sanders. When he was hired at Jackson State, he said it himself about building up the program and that it was never about the money because he's prime and he's got money. Places like that, you would have to stick around for a good amount of years. Something to, something similar to what, what Bill Self's done in Kansas. And KU was already a prestigious school, but as far as their athletics and stuff like that, but Nick Saban in Alabama, who else? All these places where these great coaches go and they bring the top recruits. Hell, he brought the #1 recruit, I think cornerback recruit in the nation, to Jackson State. And that was going to keep going on because people want to play for Deion Sanders. I believe he's going to build up Colorado. But, you know, the stuff he was saying when he left and talking about, you know, if you don't, you know, you'll end up fired if you don't make moves and stuff like that. I mean, how you going to end up fired if you're winning? They never fired Nick Saban. What are you saying? Is there a trust? Is there a distrust within the system that's going on at Jackson State? You don't trust them to keep their word on things and, you know, keep everything consistent and let you do what you need to do? I don't know. I think that was an excuse. I think it's all excuses. Like I said, man, people go, you know, go get the money. Everybody's going to go get more money. But at what point, this is what I've always said, and this is no knock toward Deion Sanders, even though, like I said, he pointed out that he said what his mission was there to do. He was there to fulfill a particular task that was more than the money. And this is the conversation that we talk about when it comes to the, you know, having your own leagues and, you know, stuff like that. When people are sitting there talking about they're not hiring black coaches and stuff like that in NFL, but it's a league dominated by black players, so you start your own league. You know, if you believe that it's worth it. I mean, it's sports at the end of the damn day. It's not an infrastructural thing. It's something that helps, you know, you get you through your day, life better. It's you know, bread and circus and entertainment, but it's not an infrastructural thing. It's not something that's needed. Like food, water, shelter, stuff like that. Electricity, gas. But if you want to get into these things and start your own things, you'll dominate it, but you may not get as much money. There'll be pay cuts in those places. And that's something that you got to be willing to accept if there's the end game and, you know, a higher ceiling to what you're trying to achieve. But as long as you're forever chasing the money, ain't shit gonna change. Because guess what's gonna happen to Jackson State? Whether people want to believe it or not, y'all can go with this delusional thoughts that y'all think is, oh, he brought prominence back to Jackson State, it's gonna bring more people and all that stuff. Jackson State's gonna go back to where they were. HBCUs gonna go back to where they were. Hell, HBCUs, even with the eyes that it brought on the place or whatnot, and you still have, you know, NFL players, NBA players, few and far between that come out of these places, but for the most part, they're going to be relegated back to where they were before then. People wanted to see prime. They wanted to see Deion Sanders. And even with that, you know, they went undefeated and still didn't have that ranking, that top 25 ranking by their name. Those are the games that people want to see. Those are the games that are going to have the top viewers. I haven't looked at the viewership for a Jackson State game, but I'd like to bet my money that it wasn't nowhere close to even, hell, what's the 10th ranked team? Teams who ain't even gonna get into the college football playoff. And this ain't me, you know, being an asshole or anything. This is just being realistic. So it's gonna go back to they're gonna go back to where they were. As you see, players, the top players, there's players that are now transferring through the transfer portal. Now they're going to start going to other schools and stuff because Deion Sanders is not there. It's just going to get relegated right back to where it was. I heard somebody talking about, you know, talking to a friend about, man, they said, you know, Eddie George is there. I'm like, ain't nobody. Eddie George is a great football player, legend, but nah, man, nah. HBCUs is going to go back to where it was. If there was even really any real significant, you know, movement within those 2 or 3 years Deion was there. Like I said, make change like that takes years upon years, maybe even decades. You see those coaches that stick at a place, man, and they've been there for damn near 20 years. It's guys like, what's his name that was, had the pedophile up there, Joe Paterno up at Penn State and stuff like that. Well, nobody even talk about Penn State no more now Paterno's gone. Anyway, he's a great coach. All these places that had, great coaches and, were bringing in the recruits, what happens, and we're talking about at the FBS, the higher level schools, the schools that are usually competing, the prominent names. Those schools usually fall to the wayside also. These Jackson States, these Gramblins and all the, HBCUs, they don't have that, Tennessee State, they don't have those same names behind them. They don't have the same money backing them. They need to figure out how they're going to get more funding, stuff like that. But this, it's sad, it sucks, but it's the reality. So, I believe, players, coaches, they come to these places. We see it all the time. They give these press conferences, give all these interviews and talk about what they want to do when they come here and all this stuff. It sounds good. Same way we go on a job interview and we talk about, they ask us why are we here for the company? And we'll say all these things. I want to contribute and stuff like this. I want to contribute and I want to learn and stuff like that. But you there for the money. Keep it all the way funky. So I believe everybody has. I believe the people that are critical of Deion Sanders' move, they got a right to, because this is what they were sold on. This is what they believed in. Now y'all need to be donating periodically. Y'all need to come up with something, or force force some of your tax dollars to get transferred, because that's what a lot of it is, tax dollars to the public colleges and stuff. Force more of your tax dollars to be directed to those HBCUs so you can build them up and have those top stadiums and top equipment and all of that stuff. But it's on the people. It ain't on Deion Sanders. It ain't on him to make the change. He could have brought something. He could have did something, but who knows? It's all screwed up. It's all screwed up. But yeah, I believe people do have there's reasoning to be mad at Deion Sanders, only if you're going based off of his words, his own words that he said. But chasing the money, gonna be chasing the money forever. But at what point is it enough? And at what point does the culture and the infrastructure, when does that become important? And having control of creating control and setting the groundwork for us to have that, for people to have that control, who you're trying to provide change to. That's the conversation. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Let me know if I'm wrong on this. Let me know where I got what information I've got wrong, or whatever I'm missing. I want to hear y'all thoughts on this. But yeah, I'll holler at y'all later.